What if everything you've believed about how long you should last is completely wrong? What if the pressure you've been carrying isn't based on reality, but on myths that quietly destroy your confidence? Most men never question it. They just assume they're not enough. But today, you're about to see the truth backed by real data, and it might change the way you see yourself forever. Today, I want to share something every man should understand, and it's based on real stopwatch data collected from over 500 couples across different parts of the world. The question is simple but important. How long does intercourse actually last on average? I'm a urologist focused on men's sexual health. If you care about your confidence, performance, and overall well-being, this is something worth paying attention to, and maybe even sharing with someone who could benefit from it. Let's be honest. Modern culture has created some unrealistic expectations around sex. Whether it's movies, social media, or casual conversations, there's this constant image of what it should look like and how long it should last. Over time, that pressure can quietly affect your confidence without you even realizing it. The truth is, much of what people believe about lasting longer simply doesn't match reality. So, instead of opinions or assumptions, let's focus on actual data measured in real time. Before getting into the numbers, it's important to understand how this was measured. In this study, intercourse was defined very specifically as the time from penetration to ejaculation. It didn't include foreplay or any other kind of intimacy. That doesn't mean this definition captures the full experience of sex, because intimacy is much broader and more meaningful than just one act. But for the purpose of gathering consistent data, this clear definition helps create a reliable comparison. Understanding this matters because a lot of men quietly worry that they're not lasting long enough. In reality, many of them are doing perfectly fine, but are comparing themselves to unrealistic standards rather than real-world averages. In medical terms, this duration is called intravaginal ejaculation latency time, which simply means the time between penetration and ejaculation. When men are asked what they think is ideal, most say around 16 minutes. They also tend to guess that the average man lasts about 9 minutes. But when researchers actually measured it using stopwatches, the results told a very different story. Across 500 couples, the true average came out to about 5.7 minutes, which is under 6 minutes. There was a wide range, of course. Some lasted only a few seconds, while others went much longer, even close to an hour. But when you look at the overall data across a large and diverse group, the average consistently stayed around that 5 to 6 minute mark. What's also interesting is that this number varied depending on location. In some places, the average was closer to 4 minutes, while in others, it reached nearly 10. Even with these differences, the overall takeaway remains the same. If you're anywhere near that average, you're not falling short. You're completely within the normal range. So if you've ever doubted yourself or felt pressure to perform a certain way, it might be time to reset your expectations. Real data shows that most men are much closer to normal than they think. Now let's shift the focus and talk about women, because this is where a lot of confusion comes in. What do women actually prefer when it comes to duration? The truth is, there isn't a strict scientific answer that applies to everyone. However, there was a large online survey involving around 4,000 women that gives us some insight. On average, many of them said they would prefer around 25 minutes of penetrative sex. But that number doesn't tell the whole story. Preferences are not fixed, and they change depending on many factors. Things like emotional connection, comfort level, mood, age, and overall arousal all play a big role. What someone wants in one moment or phase of life may be completely different in another. That's why focusing only on a number can actually create more pressure than clarity. What really matters is not chasing a specific time target that you think you're supposed to hit. Instead, the real goal should always be satisfaction, both yours and your partner's. That's the part that actually defines a good experience. When both people feel connected, comfortable, and fulfilled, the exact duration becomes far less important. It's also important to understand that many men go through concerns like finishing too quickly or sometimes struggling to finish at all. These situations are far more common than most people think, and they are not something to feel ashamed about. More importantly, they are often very treatable with the right approach and guidance. If you're dealing with these kinds of challenges, there are 2 steps that can really help. First, consider speaking with a qualified urologist. They can help figure out whether the issue is more physical, psychological, or a mix of both, and guide you toward the right solution. Second, working with a certified sex therapist can be extremely valuable, especially if stress, anxiety, or relationship dynamics are affecting your experience. Having a professional to talk to can make a huge difference in how you understand and improve things. If control or timing is something you're concerned about, there are real, practical solutions out there that can help, not gimmicks or quick fixes. The key is to focus on methods that are backed by real understanding and consistent practice. At the end of the day, there is no perfect number that defines how long sex should last. That idea is more of a myth than a reality. The only thing that truly matters is whether both of you walk away feeling satisfied, connected, and confident. That's the standard worth aiming for. If you want more honest, science-based insights around men's health, confidence, and performance, make sure you stay connected with Inside Her Heart, because taking care of yourself isn't just important, it's something you truly deserve. It's not about chasing a number or living up to someone else's expectations. It's about the connection you create and the satisfaction you share. Real confidence comes from understanding what truly matters, not from comparing yourself to unrealistic standards. When you focus on presence, communication, and mutual fulfillment, everything else naturally falls into place. Let go of the pressure. Trust the reality. And remember that genuine intimacy is measured by how you both feel, not how long it lasts.